Testing 1, 2, 3. Today's date is Chavchet Cheshvan Tafshin Mem Bet, 25 November 1981. I'm sitting with Bobby in Bobby's kitchen here in Rechav Cook for Bnei Brak, Israel. Good evening, Bobby.
Good evening, sweetheart.
We'd like to find out a little bit in a concise form about your life and history and different activities in which you went through. So to start, we'd like to know a little bit about your birth date and where you were born, and we'll start that way.
Birth date is a military secret. Born I was in the book of Hymie, Bertha.
And your father's name?
Meyer Moshe.
Ben.
Abraham.
And his mother?
Chaya.
So your grandmother on your father's side, Abraham and Chaya. And your mother's name?
Hildes.
Bat
of Yisrael. What's her name? Her mother's name doesn't know.
Razel?
That's right.
Razel, right?
Right.
All right. So we'd like to know, Abraham, your grandfather. The name Abraham, your grandfather on your
That's my father's father.
All
My
right.
mother's father.
Yeah, was name was Yisrael. And now what did Abraham do for an occupation? Your grandfather?
I don't remember him working. That wasn't in my time. So I remember him only being by the Vishnitzer Rebbe most of the time.
Now the name there was Abraham what? Surkis.
Surkis was the second name.
Is that correct? Abraham Surkis.
Yeah.
And what did he do by the Vishnitzer Rebbe? In the shul, in the gaba?
I don't know. I was too young to know.
And your grandmother? Chaya.
She raised my two brothers. That's a long video. She raised my baby brothers, Kitzkel and other.
How many were you? How many brothers and sisters?
Well, we were three sisters and two brothers. A third brother died in infancy, I think a year old or so.
And the sisters' names were in order of age?
Razel was the oldest. She was
Razel was the sister? Was named after, yeah.
And the second one was Fege.
And Fanny.
Razel was the oldest. She was
Razel was the sister? Was named after, yeah.
And the second one was Fege.
Fanny. And you were the younger sister.
Yeah.
And the two brothers?
Laser was youngest in the
His Uncle Lou was the youngest.
No, he was younger than me.
Yes, and the
He is younger than me, so I was youngest in the Stadt. When he was born, after three girls, and after the studied, after the Spazieren, there was one little boy in Abba, who was named Yisrael, and he was learning in Spazieren music. Right young, I don't remember that. And then the youngest was CHAIM.
Who was married to Clara.
Mm-hmm.
And was killed by the Nazis.
He died from starvation in Transnistria. They starved him out. They didn't kill him. They just starved him out.
The Nazis.
Some. Who knows? The Armenians, they're all a gang.
No, Yisrael and Chaya from your mother's side. The name there was what, the family name?
This is what I remember, I don't know how clearly, that my Zaydi Yisrael, his father-in-law came to yeshiva and asked for one of the best boys. And they picked him.
From the Visions Yeshiva?
Nee,
Which
that
yeshiva?
was in Galicia.
So where were
That
they?
was my mother's.
So where was your mother's family living? In Galicia?
Galicia.
Where?
In Plumage, I think, I'm
Plumage.
not sure.
Yeah.
And they picked my grandfather, Yisrael, and they asked him that he adopts the name of the one that picked him. And I suppose he didn't object to it, at least.
And what was the name?
Haber.
Haber. So this was a cousin that, no, not yet. Then it became, okay. I understand.
Who was a cousin?
No, you will become a cousin later with Grandpa, but okay. So this is, and they selected him. And what did he do? He was,
Talmud Chacham? No. He was a big Talmud Chacham, and he was Rav, and he got the position in Hungary. And in Hungary, either they were very frum or they were Freileute. And his blood brother brought him to such place that they weren't too frum.
the congregation, the Kehillah.
The Kehillah. And so he went to the SHAPIRO-SCHWARTZ Christian in the Learning. This is I remember as a... En je zegt dat ze goed is van haar bonus. Je wil niet nemen op zich de verantwoordelijkheid van haar plaats.
He didn't want to become a rabbi. To
Het is goed is van haar bonus. En nachher met alles op de waters en gehad op hun kinderlijk, het was verheiratet. Had in 6 Wochen, zoals je leren schieten, niet van de eifers, schieten van de hemels.
In 6 weeks he went.
6 weeks, because he had the knowledge of learning of everything. Hij was een grote onderzoeker. En nachher gedenk ik, stammen we gezegd van, ik weet niet, zoals ik denk meestal de man, maar stammen we gezegd, als je weet een grote scheile van behemoth, je weet een cirkel, you know, there is something not perfect. They call it a circle, non-perfection. So she went in, I think he was sheikhet in, was it in Plumage or in, I don't know.
So he might have come back from Hungary, back to Galicia?
Yeah.
He came back.
Ja, we hadden debaten en we hebben wel het zoekt zich op van Rabbonus, op een 6 Wochen geweest werden schieten van vast bijeen, dat is niet van Eifers nou.
Right. And
Als je weet naar Scheile, als je weet dort en als je weet dacht ze maar niet in Plumage, dacht ze maar in, ik denk dat we niet de tweede grotere stad in Plumage, which I should know. I can't remember.
the second biggest city?
It was a big city, yeah. It was bigger than, I think, even than Plumage, anyhow.
Plymouth was the biggest city?
No, I think the other one was
Uh-huh.
bigger. I don't know, I was never in Plumage. Es nachher es waren 3 Schachten, kann man sich vorstellen, von der Schwenken Kleidstädel. 2 Schachten gesagt, das ist koscher. Man sagt, Yisrael hat gesagt, nein. Aber das 2 sagen sie koscher, und war verkauft, und gegessen. Iemand is niet gelassen erin. En daarbij schickt Shaliach in Stanislav, die went de next big city. Ze naar dat, ze naar großen Zadig geweest. En de Russische moesten je went de circus. Ik heb het direct de Shaliach snel rijden op een vet en gezegd dat zij weer op schuldzwerg had, dat gezegd dat zij is kusher. En de dishes dat naar de Nishitur teubelen, op de kashem, omdat ze mist weglassen met water.
So in other words, everybody respected his say-so.
Steeds, maar dat zou je laatst wissen van de grote laag, van het raboenen maar kunnen. Als we zeiden dat je past, dat zou je een kosher.
And the mother, his wife, your grandmother, Chaya?
Chaya was my father's mother.
So who we talking?
Razel,
Razel, you mean Razel.
Well, she was not after Yiddish doctor. I don't know.
And
My older sister was named after her. Can I tell you about her?
Okay. Now, you're... So these
He was married then after he was married to Imatova's mother, who was a cousin to my grandmother Hazel.
How many children do they have?
With
Your
my
mo- your
grandmother
mother-
Hazel. She was an only daughter.
Who, Razel?
No, my Yehudas, my mother.
Yehudas was an only daughter.
She was an only daughter, and she had, I think, 3 or 4 brothers. 3. And YITZCHAK, and she had Avruham, and she had YITZCHAK and Avruham, and CHAIM, the father of your father.
So she had 4 children.
I think so.
So Yehudas was your
Yehudas
mother?
was the only daughter, and
That's the only daughter.
she couldn't never sit in, she couldn't stand in huis, and hat sie geschickt zu dem Spruch in der Bukowina. So she had a schwer leben, aber die Bas Yechida. And she was the first cousin to her mother. Can you imagine that?
Abraham and Chaya, how many children did they have?
They had, what I remember is 3 daughters.
You know the names?
The Mima Vela, that was Rabbi Simon's mother. And Mima Hindalaya, she was the oldest. And Mima Esther, who lived in Strashnitz, the Bukowina. 3 daughters and sons. Sons she had 2. She had my father, Meir Moshe. Oh, he had a Gentile doctor in Bertha. And he says, no matter if you're an unbeliever, if you listen to this lady's heart, that she lives with this heart the 8th year already. But it's like a wheel that all the sticks are broken, just hanging on one stick. That's how her heart was existing after my father was having his beloved child.
After your father was born?
After he passed away.
After?
My father. That was his mother.
Yeah, I know. So, what are you saying?
After my father died.
You're talking about a heart.
No, talking about the mother's heart.
Yeah.
So the mother's heart was hanging just like a wheelzuchter. That's hanging just on one piece of wood, you know, it's with wood, you know how...
A wheel, yeah, a spoke.
That's how her heart was hanging around. It was the greatest miracle, no matter how... And he was a Gentile doctor.
Yeah.
The greatest miracle how this woman lives with this, just for the 2 boys' sake. That was Uncle O and Uncle Hymie and Solange. She wouldn't part, the girls were given away amongst the mishpuchim.
Uncle Lou?
Uncle Lou and Uncle Hymie, Chaim.
Chaim, your brother.
En lezen zo zijn in de staak in de ledenschap. So die 2 kleine kinderen. De zijde vlek terug heb ik lezen op de hand en schiller aan jeden de vriend. De schiller die een misnoemd in Bergen. In een stuk weeks. Terug op de
You're talking
hand.
this the grandmother who took the grandchild?
The grandfather I'm talking about.
You're talking now about Abraham
Yeah.
taking Uncle Lou?
That's right.
Yeah.
She raised the 2 boys, Uncle Lou and Uncle Hymie.
After your mother and father passed away.
Sure.
And who?
My mother lived just 17 months after my father passed away. She used to run around in the apartment.
Your mother listened. But I want to, before you talk about that, I want to ask you about your mother and father first now. What do you remember about, how old were you when you, what do you remember about your father, Meir Moshe?
Very little.
How old were you?
I remember a child.
A little girl?
Maybe 4 or 5 years. Maybe even 6 years, I don't know.
And you remember anything about him, a little bit?
I remember just like in a dream when he laid in the bed in the bedroom. starker Mensch, a crazy Mensch. I never remember him sick, but that time now he came home. He was he had a big job. He was, so he must have catching it someplace. He came home with mentions with typhoid. And just because he was never sick in his 30 some odd years, maybe 35, I don't even know how old he was. So the doctors were standing helplessly. He had no ability of fighting a sickness. Just burned up violin. They were standing around. And I couldn't do nothing for her. She was left, my mother, with 5 pitzel of children. And she used to grow. And the painters, the decorators left the house just maybe a week before he lay down so sick. They made the house a palace with built into the kitchen stove a kettle which was always hot water, and the side was a brood tray, that's where you bake. It was...
You remember the house?
Yeah, like a dream. But I was so worried that if I had to pass the house, if I was able to lay up many blocks, not to see, that's how hard I was.
After your parents had passed away? Not to pass the house, you mean, because of the memories?
The house, but because then it was rented. Back in the mishpucha, and that beautiful big room was even that the salon that the painters, the decorators had left just maybe a week before he lay down sick.
You had just moved into that house, or you were always living in that house?
No, we lived there, it seems, before, but that's the time he decorated it. He fixed it. So
when your father passed away, you stayed in the house with your mother?
No,
all the children?
No, but we all stayed. Except the little boys stayed already with my grandfather.
And they lived nearby?
Yeah.
Also?
No, they stayed home. They stayed home until my mother lived. But then my grandmother took them.
And your mother passed away 17 months after your father?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? And what was her disease? And what did she die from?
She ate herself up.
From the death?
She first didn't want to. She kept saying, my grandmother used to say, she used to come running, and that was her favorite child, and she used to come running every time, so she used to find her running around with that pitzel. Uncle Hymie was maybe 10 weeks old. She ran around with the baby in her arm, and she used to cry. And then she wanted to live. But was it hard to get?
How old was she? In her late 20s, early 30s?
My oldest sister. Yehudis' mother. I don't know, she was maybe 9 or 10. The oldest.
Now what happened after the family was then split up?
Then after my mother died, I passed away too.
You remember the funeral?
They sent us away, I think, from the house. We were kids. I don't think we went.
And where did the children go?
The boys, my grandmother took. She said she wouldn't part with the boys, especially the youngest. And how old was Uncle Lou? Uncle Lucas. And then I was the youngest, and luck was with me. I went to my mother's brother, that was my father, in Malaya.
What was his name?
Yisrael Haber. They were rich people and wonderful religious Jews. And then the grandchildren used to go to the universities. He used to go every time before the CHAIM tests, like a full information to Tzaddik. And did my Grecian pigeon, also on their farm. So we will make a more there as a farm, this must have from the university. Ich weiß nicht, was so Matzliach sein. Die meine größte Tzaddik hat mit Kuchen.
Your uncle?
Ein reicher Mensch, hat gedenkt Pieren. Tanis, Pieren. Wenn ich ein Kind, vielleicht echt zählen, wie viel sich die Menschen zu dienen. Aber ich habe mir gedacht, weil die nehmen das größte Zimmer, was bei den Kindern, bei den verheirateten Kindern beim Vater uns. Dort gemacht Salon und dort gemacht das Mädrisch, im größten, schönsten Zimmer.
In this house?
Ja. Because the Schule gewesen auf der anderen Seite, man muss das gewesen Hochwasser, und sie haben da Rebeldienst wegen Wasser, sonst schaue es nicht unter, was mir da ist, bei ihm in der Schule. Ich denke, ich bin ein kleines Mädel, an ihm allein so sagen, die Mädel, und mit der Welt hat es Freitag, ich soll wissen, auch paternal, hat sie mir gesagt, dass so verspreitende Tischen in das Mädrisch. In das Forum so, hat behalten, sie herausnehmen, so. Das ist eine Mama Freitag. Also vielleicht mir dann Mama nicht so Unsinn und zwei leicht für Mama.
How old are you then? How old do you think?
I don't know. I wasn't old.
5?
No, I must have been 7, 8 or
7.
When I had to do these things.
And so the sisters were all there by your Aunt Leah?
No.
Just you? And they were still living in the same city, yeah?
No, Lapushna, the next time.
Lapushna?
Yeah.
And this was they had a big house?
Yeah, they had a big house too.
And the other 2 girls were still in Veramid?
Tante Fanny was never, my mother's a brother from the same father. Like, who was a brother to me, Matoba, and my father. They were from the same father, but from the next, from the second wife. So he at first had no children. So he wanted them to take them to Fanny. But here in the between that was a schwer, then there came children. But mit jeder Arbeit, als man gelast wissen zum Vertrauen, so aufnehmen die Gesellen.
They wanted to take them.
No, they should take her out from there because sie kommen Kinder, du weißt, an Fanny soll sein, sie ist wie eine Sache allein schuldig, dass sie nehmen Kinder, so das 4. Haus, oder so sagen, ihr steht. Und sie werden noch allein noch ein Kind. Und Menschen, sie können sich checken, wie sie die Zähne arbeiten. Und sie nachher rausgenommen. Aber wie sie reingekommen, sie nachher gehen bei der Tochter von einem Vertrauen. So viel gehört. Sie hat, dass sie, wenn sie reden, nicht so, sie eine große Barriere, als Kind noch.
Did you see your sister every now and then? Did you see each other, one another? The boy, your brothers, your sister?
The brothers, when she gefahren auf 4 in Bermels, it was the next time.
Yeah.
Hab ich gebeten permission und ich bin gefahren sehen die Brüder. Ich bin gewesen die jüngste Schwester, nicht. Und das hat gehört, dass Tante Fanny gewesen schlecht, weil ich so gewesen und so rausnehmen von da.
And your sister?
My sister was gerade rein, man geht steht zum Vertrauen zur Schwester Mimereva.
Also
Road is named after this Mimereva.
In the same town where you were? Or also?
No, Ostipatila, she was far.
Where?
Ostipatila.
No, it's far away?
Yeah.
And did you ever get to see her very often? Not too often?
No.
Okay, so then, by this time now, you were going to school?
No school.
No school. You were learning in the house?
Private, yeah.
Alright, and time went on until you decided...
Ja, sie in Bergen met, noch jüdische Kinder. Wer ist noch die Kinder, was von Strophe sind gegangen in School. Aber die lernen Goyisch, und mit den Goyische Kinder.
You told me once that the story that the Vision Rebbe kissed Uncle Lou on the head, that he was a very good student, that he learned very well.
No, that was the BERTHA.
Oh, so tell me the story.
You mix it up. Hier met jou een BERTHA, dat is het. En de zijde zal zijn geneden, dat jij moet zijn erheen. Zo verlegeert dat aan zijn gestuurd, dat jij met de jingel zu da kofes. Wenn wir gehen in Schiller, aber in Schiller, so ist wie eine große Schiller, aber vielleicht nehmen die Kinderlich Onkel und der Jüngste zum Ruf. Oh, mir mit ja da Ruf, ich bin eine Zeit, ich bin an eine Kohl. Wenn ein klarer vielleicht das an. Vielleicht so einfach zusammentreffen, so reden von alter Zeit. Nachher so, ich wein du letztes Mal, so geriefen, als ich wein in Wiesnitz, in Schicken Wiesnitz, dort in Zabertakunen, in Wiesnitz Räu. Und habe ich auch geriefen, so ich wollte machen, Appointment, so sehen mit dem, hat mir erzählt, aber ich habe eine Studie recht nicht still. Weil ich jetzt in German zu wein.
Was Uncle Lou? There? With the rabbi in your city?
Because we used to go to the kofes and kinder get the game and say, but was there you wein in Wiesnitz?
Alright, so time went on, and...
Yes, hörten du?
Yeah, this is on.
So they hear you too?
Yeah.
The question.
Yeah.
So, time went on, and nachher waren schlechte Zeiten, finanziell, und ich bin der Valente gewachsen und alles. Nachher in the Zeiten, die waren schlecht.
Probably, yeah, this is for posterity. I don't know if they're going, in 100 years from now, know Yiddish.
Well, I'm not going to speak only English. They'll speak Yiddish. You don't understand Yiddish, Tati.
I still understand. I don't know what it'll be in the duration of the tape.
Okay.
Alright, so what happened? So years went on, a few more years, and then you were ready to...
Nachher hatten wir getracht mit, und ich war der Valente gewachsen. Wir dachten, wir etwas lernen, als wir kennen so. Sehen schon, was da man sich kann halten, nach einem Menschen entsteht, weißt du. Sie waren die schlechte Zeiten, bevor sie noch kommen.
The First World War.
Ja.
Before the first one.
Because, ich bin ja in einer Krieg Mädel, und man könnte gedenkt, jedem lernen, das soll werden, ich soll keine arbeiten in der Post, aber das soll ich auch lernen in Wiesnitz. Aber das muss ich aber weinen zu sagen. Nachher hat reingenommen eine Maschine zu arbeiten, zu werden, Socken.
Was
Aber man hat noch gelebt. I think.
When your mother was still living?
That was the time I go back to, yeah.
Yeah. So you were a little girl then?
Yeah, at that time, but then Edke's mother, you think mit ihr euch lernen. Sie sagt ja, man kann machen Sweaters, Stockings, oder etwas. Und ich denke, dass ich keine Abstand für einen Stieb, so ein paar Nüsse. Und die Mama hat auch angefangen zu kränken, es ist nicht gegangen, man verpackt die Maschine. Klar, nachher hat man mir geschickt, zum Titel, auf so Support lernen, auf einem Arbeiten auf der Maschine, auf Jesus. Und,
In the city that you were living in, most of the people were Jewish?
most of the people are Jews.
I'm asking you. So tell me about the city a little bit.
What's to tell? I have no dealings to the bank.
It was all one family houses.
In Goyish. Was was in Goyish, State Goyish.
And what did you speak? Which language?
Yiddish. Deutsch. Ich kenne ja ein bisschen Deutsch mit Stammern, aber ich in Goyish nicht.
Did you feel anti-Semitism?
Ja, ich weiß hier, also verstehen die Sachen. Also nicht lieb gehabt, Goy. Als man sich kommt, reden, der Veteran, so sagen, ich weiß, wer der Veteran gewinnt, dort wir bin gewinnt im Haus.
Ja.
Also man Schabes nicht tut, rein in Goy, kennst du schon eine Sache, und dann wird lieb gehabt, Goy.
Remember this?
Ich bin bei uns, noch wenn die Mama gelebt, ich bin ein Schicksal, so lange steht, als ich vielleicht mit den Menschen. Dus je denkt wie een goede wie ze gelijk zeggen, Adi-reine, Boi-reine, Goya-reine. Kannst du beschreiben, wie lange die Schicksals je bent?
Remember the shul?
What shul?
in the where you were living, in the city?
I tell you, they were down at the room.
And the house, in the salon.
Sure. And the room next to it, which was his bedroom really, but it was a beautiful shul. So there was a women's shul. And when the women's and the Yitzichak, it was Yantov and Toivim.
So it was very lebendig atmosphere there.
Yeah, sure. And here, the Weiber fliegen Kinder fliegen they off mission zum Davenen. I was a child. And I liked Davenen. So if you wish was to Davenen. Like the Weiber and Toivim, the fliegen Kinder fliegen they help off mission. Man in alleen, I could you going to become a child.
Did they have children of their own?
Oh, Malaya. She had an only daughter. He had 7 children with his first wife. When they were boy and girl up in the red, she was a niece to Federal, to Malaya. She was a brother's daughter. But in keinem gedenkt, also auf dem Spruch mehr. Und hat dann gehabt miteinander und sie miteinander. Du so wird jedem erzählt, das sind schwer in meiner Zeit. Das bei ihr nicht verstehen, jedes Ding gesagt, 400, aber alles ist gestorben, sie werden ein bisschen auf paternal, und hat 7 Kinder, und sie schenkt. Hast du mit ihm an? Und nachher ist sie war eine Schütte. Stell dir vor, als in den jungen Jahren hatten sie gerät. Es nachher ist sie war eine Schütte, als sie nachher sie war noch ein Kind, in einer Größe in jedes Fall. Und sie sind nicht gekommen. Das war der Vater, wenn wir vielleicht fuhren zum Reden. Das haben doch die Herd nachher immer gesagt, das ist nicht rein für meine Zeit. Hat sie aber geweint und geklagt, das soll beten, so haben wir Kind. Er hat sie beten, die Menschen. Ich glaube, einmal sie nehmen die ganze Zierung, wo sie vermögen, stammen mit ihnen Geld und allein gewinnen auf die Schäle. Sie mitgegeben, so dass jedem zum Blut immer reiben, so darf es nicht schon, sie wollen alle Kind. Und Gott hat sie geholfen, sie hat ein Kind, die Babel, habe ich mit ihr entlaufen nachher in Wien, wenn der Veteran ist dort nostalgisch geworden, also er will hier nachher. Er hat ein Kartel, und so Fabrismus, das war das Kartel von der Mimmelei, von Wien. Als sie mir aber geschrieben, wie traurig die Lage ist, ist jetzt in Wien. Babel hat Kassel gehabt, ich habe es mit einer von meiner Mamas Spruch, von meiner Mamas Futterszeit.
So you never met her?
Who?
The daughter? No, the daughter.
In Malay's daughter?
Yeah.
Sie waren am Mädel, wenn ich bin dort im Haus.
I want to go back all the way. You once said that when I asked you the original Haber, the name, or how many years back it goes. You said,
wenn man sieht, dass der Mann adoptiert und hat ihn genommen an Eden, wenn die Yeshiva hat ihm gegeben als den besten Bucher.
Yeah. So he took the name from there, from the father-in-law. But how far can you go back to his father-in-law? To you?
My mother's father.
Yeah.
I told you.
No, but what about his?
His name was Hirsch. This is what I was told. They were 3 brothers. They fled from Russia. They came.
No.
They fled.
So your mother's father came from Russia.
Yeah.
Where?
3 brothers. They lived near the Granitz. You know what's the Granitz? Where you have to pass from one country to the other.
The border.
So they came into the Vishnitzer Rebbe.
From Russia.
I think I was told that the Vishnitzer Mishpuch has originated from Russia. I'm not sure. Yeah. Maybe this is just wishful thinking. Anyhow, so they had to change their name. They couldn't go by the former name. They shouldn't be called. So I think the Vishnitzer Rebbe recommended. So one, Isaiah, was Surkis. I bet you his mother was Surkis.
Yeah.
And another brother was Goldman.
Which is the Chicago family?
No.
No, it's different.
Goldman, that was my father's brother, then married a girl from that Goldman, first cousins. He had three sons. One son he had, after 17 years, I remember I received a letter.
And the third brother was named Haber?
No, the third brother, no. Just my Zayde was Haber. The third brother,
Hirsch, you said?
Hirsch.
Yeah.
And one was Goldman.
Yeah. And one
Goldman was a Gabbai by the Vishnu Tzareb, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember if Goldman or one of the brothers. Hirsch, maybe? I don't know.
Alright, so how did the name Haber come in?
I told you. He was picked from a yeshiva
And he took the
where
name
the man
yeah.
wanted him to adopt his name.
Yeah, but where did the name come from? From your mother's father?
That's my mother's
Your grandmother's father's name was?
My mother's father, you're talking about,
okay.
was Haber.
Yeah.
His father-in-law wanted him to adopt this name. Perhaps his parents didn't live no, it didn't make no difference to him.
So you can go back, but you can. So in other words, the three when they came in from
Rabbi Kramer, you remember we were talking about Rabbi Kramer. If there was something came up that the family wanted to know about family relations, if we had to find that out from MOLLIE, they told her I know the best. Although I was the youngest of the girls and everything, but
so they were still asking you. Did they come? What year would that be? About the mid-1850?
Just to tell you in the BERTHA, I don't know. Puter? Why, he was married in the Bukovan and he gave birth to children. My father was born there. How should I know the name?
So you think that it was from Russia before they came to Bukovina?
That's right. Three brothers.
All right. So
what I was told.
So the years went by, and then you decided to immigrate to America.
Now that I decided.
So how did it happen?
My two aunts. My cousin Beatty's mother, Toby, and her sister Fagin. They were sisters of my mother from one father. So my aunt Fagin, the older one, was married already, and he was in the army. And the younger one became a Kala. I want to hear the 8 o'clock news.
All right, just have 5 more minutes.
Became a Kala. And they both were in the army, those two uncles. When they got back from the army, they seen what are they going to do there? Nothing. So they decided to go to America. They went to America. I don't know if they went with the wife and the Kala together. I don't know how it was. Anyhow. And then the question came up, what's to be done with those two girls?
You
and the oldest was...
Razel was married already.
Razel wasn't married yet. No, he was in the army. We knew that, so well anyhow, we left her everything, a big house and the garden, field and everything. We so the Lord she had it first. We had to send the power of attorney. She should be able to sell it.
Who is it? Who to
my
sell
older
it?
sister.
To sell your...
Fanny and I had sent from America power of attorney. They should be able to sell it.
Yeah, but wait a minute. I'm talking still about you're still in Europe now.
Yeah.
So then, how did you come?
I'm telling you. So these two old aunts, one was married and one was a Kala. They were in the army. They came back from the army. What were they supposed to do yet? They were Yiddish and English, and they didn't want to work in Shabbos. So they went to America. And I said, this I don't remember. Whether she took along my aunt, or whether my aunt went too, the younger one.
And what about you?
And then when they settled here already,
they settled in America.
So the question came up, so that you ain't, Zehrer a Brüder von derselben Tate. You know he was the grandfather from Yehudas, Yitzchak.
Yeah.
So he lived nearby, and it came up a problem, not for these two girls. All right, the oldest, let me list, she'll be married when she was small yet, with Yitzchak's father.
Right.
Was that the mishpucha so good man? They lived in the next town, I don't know how it was. Anyhow, there was a big house, and what happened to this house? They sold it to children, the boys, for 1,200 lira, which amounted to $6.
$6? The whole house?
What a house.
And who bought it?
A guy there who bought it.
Wow.
They took it off the ground. You don't know, there was a summer kitchen, so you went this ganze Vermögen.
What happened to me? What happened to your aunt Leah?
She was in Vienna with her daughter.
She already went to Vienna.
She fled. They don't ever come.
Now, why did she flee?
We were in America already that time.
No, so you left from the house of your aunt to America.
No.
You didn't tell me you left the house yet. You left the house.
I went to learn to
see.
make on that stocking machine.
Right.
You had a machine and all that. No.
All right, so they sent for you.
So then they sent us 2 tickets. That were $39 a ticket. 39
both?
cents, yeah.
To go from.
They paid back.
And
Well,
what
the
was
39 cents we didn't pay back, only the $39.
and what was your trip? Where did you begin?
My uncle, Itka's grandfather, took us to Lemberg, which was the capital of that. Then he gave us over to the agent. We were kids.
Yeah.
He gave us over to the agent, and the agent signed for us that he'll take care of us. Put it on the boat.
Where? From Lemberg?
No.
Where?
We went to Mislovitz. Boy, I'll never forget. I was, they took us into a big, huge building. There were no places where to sit, but people sat on the floor, on the luggage, like cattle. I cried that time, how am I going to bring my brothers over? I have to get this through, because I went with that hope that I'll take my brothers over. Then so long later, huge. Then I sent for the 2 brothers, and this brother was all in second class, better, faster. And the other one doesn't want to leave his sweetheart, and Clara. So he sold his ticket, and he went, and talked about 2, we borrowed money. He didn't have so much to send.
But you were put on the boat where? Where were you put on the boat?
Mislovitz. That was, I think, Germany that time.
And
the agent.
you got there by train?
By train to Rotterdam.
And you knew about America? On the way to America, you knew something about America? You knew where you were going? What you were going to?
I knew where I was going to. I wasn't dumb, but I cried so much that I knew that I had to go. I knew I didn't have where to stay there. But why did I cry and I didn't want to go? My eyes were red. I remember Yitka's grandmother told me I should have pictures. They wouldn't let me through. They'll think I have sick eyes. That's how red. Why was I crying? Because I was told that in America, even the rocks are safe.
Uh-huh.
That's what I was worried.
Good evening. 8 o'clock, and this is Alan Kane with News Report. First, the headlines.
You want to hit the...
Prime Minister Begin says Israel will not allow Western Europe to commit folly at Israel's expense. Prime Minister Begin says he's willing to meet Saudi King Khalid, but not on the basis of the 8-point
Not allowed
plan.
to make folly of Israel.
A senior American official says an Israeli rejection of European participation in the multinational force would be a tragedy. The fate of Defense Minister Sharon's trip to Washington is to be decided this weekend. The 12th Arab Summit gets underway with an appeal by Morocco's King Hassan for unity. Egyptian President Mubarak releases 31 political prisoners and later meets with them. Britain unofficially invites Israel's ministers of commerce and agriculture. Those are the headlines. Now the news in detail.
No, I suppose that some politicians in Europe wouldn't mind much with a secure. But we don't want that.
Okay, please turn over to the other side now for the second half of Bobby's story.